Frank Ranks, week number 37. Yes, we are going to talk about 6 books today. No Marvel this week. We got DC and we got Independence. Who's going to be up on top? Let's find out right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I am your host, Frank Zanca. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. And yeah, we got 6 books to talk about today. This is actually a week behind because my manager of my comic book shop did not drop. They closed. The entire shop closed. They tries to raise the rent on them, and they said, so instead now the shop is empty. That's brilliant, just brilliant for, these, owners of these buildings. So they just rather have it empty than make a deal. Crazy. But anyway, so instead of me trying to find another shop, I pay my bill online, and they drop my books off at the game store next door. So yeah. However, this past week his wife just had a baby, so they skipped a week, and they've done it before. I've had to skip a week, and then I read some stuff digitally and stuff like that instead. So this week there wasn't a whole lot that I read digitally, so I just waited, and now we got these 6 books that I'm like a week late on. So let's start with number 6, and that is DC on the bottom, taking over where Marvel normally would be. And this is by Greg Rucka, who I'm a fan of, and that is Cheetah and Cheshire rob the Justice League. Who watches the Watchtower? So this is about Cheetah and Cheshire, of course, who are supervillains. They get a team of mostly female misfits together, of course, and they are attempting to do a Mission Impossible, Ocean's 11 type of heist. And the problem with this, though I think the artwork is decent, and I do like Greg Rucka, is the fact that I just can't get over the premise. I'm not buying into the premise, and that is them going into the Watchtower, into space. That isn't even the biggest problem. Is that what they're after is a box full of powers. Supposedly because of absolute power, which I did not buy into absolute power either. I don't think you can swap people's powers. I don't think a robot can take people's powers. But every type of power on top of that. They're taking, Kryptonian DNA, so you no longer have it. They're taking your magic, so you no longer have it. It just makes no sense. They're taking the power out of your Green Lantern ring. None of it made a bit of sense. It was just probably going, wouldn't it be cool if I did this? I think that was Mark Waid. And God, he need whatever he was on, popping those pills, snorting. I think that he should just get off it for a little bit because it made no sense. And here it is, Greg taking, over where that story left off. Bad move, man. In fact, if this wasn't Greg Rucka, I probably wouldn't even be continuing it. But supposedly because they opened the door to powers just being, something you can hold in your hand, now supposedly it's all in a box. Sure, why not have Superman's powers in a box? Of course. I mean, we have to have something for these people to steal. So I just can't get into the premise. But anyway, that is the premise. So here they lay out everything they have to do. They have to get a key card that is biometrically linked to someone that they can physically teleport up there or use a teleportation device. Because if it doesn't match, then it won't open the boom tube or whatever it may be. And so they're doing that, and on top of that, they're hacking into stuff as well. And, of course, Cheshire's daughter is the one that's pickpocketing. And Clarion, who is the boy witch, has the hots for Featherweight, who is a super strong little girl. And teenage girl, I guess, because they're both teenagers. So we have a little bit of teen romance going on and all that stuff. So as he's about to go talk to her, he gets called in and stuff like that. So, I mean, if you discount what they're going after, the book is better. If I just put that on the other side of my mind, saying I'm just not going to worry about what the actual target is, then the book's better. But anyway, that's why it turns up on the bottom of this, because I just can't get over the premise. Okay, jumping into number 5, and that is The Rockefellers. I have not really been a big fan of this book in general, though this book is better than it has been previously, because now we go into a flashback. I mean, we're like in 6 or 7 issues now, and now they decide to tell us how they got there. It's a little late for that, because if you've lost people, you've already lost them, you know. So I mean, I'm just reading it digitally, so it's like, okay, I'll just keep reading it just because. But I'm not buying. It's not good enough to buy, physically. And so we find out that the father, his sister, who is actually the villain, they're trying to talk him into continually working on his project that he doesn't want to work on because he feels it can be weaponized. And I guess they get attacked by drones or something like that through this office window. He ends up leaping behind the couch. The other two, meaning the head of the corporation and his sister, and they're, of course, together romantically, they get blown up. Sorry, your mom blew up, Billy. Better off dead if you don't know what that reference is. But anyway, so he tries to save them, even though their like faces are melted off and all this other stuff. And I guess he does save them to a certain degree, but then he has to escape because they're going to hold him there. So he takes his wife, who is like a rocket scientist or whatever, and they end up stealing a shuttle, and they go back in time, and that's why they're here from the future. Let's go back to the future. So it's okay, but it's definitely not knocking my socks off. And of course we have the grandma now back alive because she's dead in the regular thing. But all right, so let's move on to number 4, and that is by Matt Fraction, and this is Batman number 2, because they have Hush still going on, which is the regular Batman title, while they rebooted it, because Lee can't get his shit together and get stuff out on time. But anyway, so Matt Fraction did a decent job with the first one. I do like that all the gadgets kind of have like an LED come up and it explains to the reader what it is. It's a little gimmicky, but it's fun. But anyway, Robin, who is Tim Drake in here, I don't know why they ended up using Tim Drake, because as far as I'm concerned, he's a dead character. They've messed with him way too much to make him even interesting anymore. The biggest thing that made him interesting was his relationship with Spoiler, and that is gone now. So I don't know. I think they should just kill that character off. Maybe that's what he's going to do. Maybe he's going to kill his character off. But we also see Damian in here, who's relegated to washing the car. Why would they have the Batmobile at Wayne Manor? It made no sense. Or wherever they're living at this point. Because at the Brownstone or whatever. What if somebody sees it? And he can't go through like a car wash? Doesn't he have like a car wash that's like in the Batcave? Wouldn't that make more sense? I don't know. Wouldn't he be washing it in the Batcave? Wouldn't that make more sense? Anyway, this doesn't make any sense. But anyway, so he's trying to teach Tim how to drive, because he has to learn stick before he can learn how to drive the Batmobile. So he's driving like an old clunker truck. So I kind of like that idea. And of course, Damian is screwing with him the entire time. So that was good. But anyway, then we switch back to the present time, and Dick was trying to stop these burglars or these criminals of something that were trying to take over a truck, and they kill one of the guys, one of the truck drivers or whatever else. So they're murderers, and they end up, Robin, tackles them and finishes them off, kind of thing. And they, locks them up for the cops, and he's wondering what they were stealing, and it ends up being baby formula. He's like, my baby is hungry. You just committed murder for formula that is probably, $50. What? The guy's life was worth $50? Wow. What about breastfeeding? But instead of Robin leaving like they would normally do before the cops get there, oh, the cops are coming, normally they would disappear, smoke pellet, whatever, they're gone. No, he sticks around for whatever reason. And we have the guy who's immortal is the commissioner, which makes no sense. But anyway, so he's, of course, not friendly to the Bat family. So we have one cop that's kind of holding Robin at gunpoint, and the other cop is like, no, they're on our side. And he calls Batman up. He's like, who do we know that's friendly, at the GCPD? And, Batman's like, I'm on my way. I'll help you. So meanwhile, then Robin tries to get away, and he gets shot. Their whole thing is that Vandal Savage, that's the immortal guy, by the way. Their whole thing is that they evade bullets, right? That's the whole thing, is that they've taught themselves how to evade bullets. But not this time. He gets shot, and I guess it goes through the armor to a certain degree, and he's bleeding, and he falls, down whatever stories he drops. But then Batman shows up and blocks a bullet because now the two cops are squaring off against each other. He blocks that, but the other guy still takes the hit, so the other cop now dies. There's just something wrong here. And then Batman takes a shotgun blast to the back of the head. What's going on? It just doesn't feel right. Because everything that they're trained to avoid, they're getting hit with. They're sticking around. They're getting hit by gunfire. They're not disarming people. I just don't understand. What happened to just throwing a pellet at the gun so he can't be fired or whatever? There's a million different gadgets he's got, and none of this is happening because Fraction wants guns to go all over the place. It just doesn't feel right. And Robin gets captured. He's about to go to prison. He still has his mask on, and I don't know. Batman, disables the truck to get him out. Anyway, none of this feels right. So this is why this one's pretty low on the list. There's some stuff I liked about it, and there's a lot of stuff I didn't. So I hope Matt Fraction can get his crap together here, because I won't be sticking with this if this veers too far away from the Batman mythology, and we're just dealing with cops and getting shot a million times over. But anyway, moving on to... Oh, before we move on, though, remember to give me a like, give me a thumbs up if you can. If you can subscribe, please do. Ring that bell, ding, ding. Share this video out there so everybody knows what's going on in the comic world. I'd love for some people that don't collect to actually see what's going on. And, because we never know what's going to, what James Gunn's going to pick up to be the next movie. Also, remember, too, that I'm a writer, so if you'd like to check out anything that I've written, you can go to Amazon, just type my name in, or there's a link in the description below. You'll see my 4-novel sci-fi epic quadrilogy, Destiny Aurora. It was made into a board game, an RPG, and a graphic novel. It's also on Audible. So if you like things like Star Wars, Star Trek, Guardians of the Galaxy, you'll love it because it's got a little bit of amalgam of all those things. And then my fantasy novel, Tales of Ravenor, the Iron Witch. So if you like things like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, I do have dragons in here. I have griffins. I have all that stuff in there. And we have a whole full magic system. So if you like all that stuff, you'll love that. And then my new comic, Fairy Tales of Terror. So I did just open up Late Pledge. We do have things available now. So I have Psycho Cinderella. We have Captain Hook murdering everyone. And then we have Tiger Lily chasing them down through the streets of New York City. It's good stuff. You can just go to fairytalesofterror.com. There's also a link in the description below. It'll take you right to the little store that we've put together. All right, so let's jump right back into number 3. And that is G.I. Joe. So there's 2 different G.I. Joes. And that's G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero by Larry Hama. This is yet, and this is why it's a little bit lower on the list, although 3 is not bad, because it is yet another silent adventure. Silent mission, I think they call it. And I'm kind of over it because we had a whole month of it, and now, we had 3 or 4 different issues, and now they're doing it again. But I got to say that it's better with Snake Eyes. So Snake Eyes is training with Girl Snake Eyes. I don't know her name. I know she's all over the place. I hate derivative characters, but she's a derivative character. And they have headphones on because they're at the firing range, and like a Dr. Vertigo type of thing. They have a blimp, and it sends out a shockwave of sound, which they can't hear. So the whole base is incapacitated. So he tells the chick to keep her headphones on, and they go out to fight, and they chop some guys up, and they get up onto the blimp, and they capture the 2 guys as the dirigible falls to the ground and explodes, and they kind of walk out with the other thing. So it was a neat little. I liked it. It was just come on, let's move on. I think he ended the other storyline with them being undercover too early. There was a lot more story you could have told in there. All right, going on for number 2. And this is an independent as well, and that is Conan by number 25. It's an anniversary issue by Jim Zub. And I'm not sure if this should have been lower on the list. I normally keep this very, very high because normally it's very good. But this was a one-shot version of King Conan. So this is where he's older and he's married. So he's running the kingdom. And this guy who's like an albino walks in and says, if you give me your hospitality for 2 or 3 days, I forgot what it was, 36 hours or whatever it is, then I will give you a special gift. And everybody's like, no, man, don't give him shit. He's nobody. He might, he just wants to get inside so that he can, kill you or whatever. And he says, nah, whatever. Just give him the hospitality. So the guy stays there and drinks and eats and blah, 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 whatever it is. And finally he says, okay, the time is up. I'm going to give you my special gift. And he's goes into his mind and shows him all of his adventures throughout, when he was younger, and then he just poofs and leaves so that he can write the stories. The build-up was good. The conclusion was not. I was not a fan of the ending, which kind of destroys all the build-up, because if you don't like the twist, then, or whatever the conclusion is, then the build-up is irrelevant, right? So I thought it was okay, but definitely not on par of what the last issue was. So, but anyway, it's a one-shot, so we're moving on after this. Okay, and number 1, what's going to be number 1? Will it be DC, or will it be an independent? It's independent. And I think this is the first time this series is at number 1, and that is The Sacrificers by Rick Remender. This just came back after hiatus, and I feel like they're kind of closing it up, which was great. This is something that should be closed up, just like Void Rivals should be closed up by now. So we are at number, 19? 16. So he should close it up within the next 4 issues, for sure, because it almost feels like it's over now. But this is about Pigeon. He doesn't have a name. He's in this world where the gods need. We have the god of the sun. We have the goddess of the moon. We have the god of agriculture. We have the god of the sea. All that stuff. So it's a little bit more like Greek mythology, but it's his own mythology. It doesn't follow anything from the past, like Greek or Roman. But anyway, so they are not really immortal. They have to drink an elixir to remain immortal. And to get that elixir, every several years, they have to take sacrifices from the surrounding families. And then they go to like a Willy Wonka thing, because it's all children to a certain degree. And they, when they're happy, they have seats where they have spikes to go into their head, and it draws out this energy. But if they're not happy, then it draws out something they can't use. So they have to think happy thoughts, basically. And the only one to escape was Pigeon, whose father treated him like complete dirt, and because he knew he was being sacrificed, so he didn't want to get close to him, and didn't want anybody from the family to get close to him. Now everybody's gone except for his sister, that one, only one who was nice to him, and he now has the powers of the daughter of the sun god and the moon goddess. Her name is Soluna, not to be confused with Solila from Void Rivals. But Soluna now has no powers because Pigeon has them, and that was a whole thing about how that transfer happened. But anyway, so she ended up with the sister, while Pigeon is now Super Pigeon with the powers of a god killing gods. And he ended up teaming up with the god of, like, I don't know, mechanics? I don't know. He had like a whole underground, machine type thing that going on down there. Anyway, he teamed up with him, and I think he was the brother of the sun god. But anyway, he and Pigeon go up against the sun god, and it doesn't end well for the brother, but Pigeon ends up killing the sun god. But he gets killed at the same time, but he's not dead. He's like totally burned. So both of them are on the ground basically dying, and the sister goes to Pigeon, and so Luna goes to her father and says, you have to take over now. I can reignite your powers. So I don't know if there's now going to be a battle, if Pigeon's going to come out of his stupor, and they're going to end up battling, but I guess we'll find out. But that's what I'm saying. He's already killed all the gods now. So I don't know where else he could go with this. Is the only battle left is between Pigeon and Soluna. So I guess we'll find out where this goes from here. But I think it's going to be closing up generally soon, and I think that's great. I don't think all comics should just keep going on and on and on and on. I don't know why Kirkman is keeping Void Rivals going. I'm very confused by that. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Remember, give me a like, give me a thumbs up if you can. If you can't subscribe, please do. Ring that bell, ding, ding. Share this video out there. And on top of that, if you'd like to check out anything that I've written, go to Amazon.com. And if you want to check out Fairy Tales of Terror, I'm going to keep the late pledge open for a little while, but it won't be long because I'm going to go into issue 2. Anyway, go to fairytalesofterror.com, or there's a link in the description below. Thanks for watching, guys, and you guys have an awesome week. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.